from InTimeWithMusic. Thanks for attending this video. It's a little different for me. Usually I demonstrate old things, because it sort of fits. Old musical things, because In Time with Music, that's why it's called In Time with Music. So instead of doing a vibraphone or a marimba solo for you today, I'm here to do a shout out to ask for some help identifying autographs. Specifically from the band Fishbone and Arrested Development, and specifically from June 18th, 1993, which was the first stop for Lollapalooza in 1993 at Thunderbird Stadium in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I had the fortune of being the onstage local drum technician for Lollapaloozas in 92 and 93, worked with some very wonderful musicians. Working at Lollapalooza as a drum technician was a little bit different than the festivals that I'm used to. Usually when there's a festival, the biggest problem is getting the turnover of the bands happening quick enough to keep the audience's attention. So the bands generally used my drum sets, but not for Lollapalooza. All of their bands brought their own drum sets, and they were a lot of them were really sophisticated, complicated sets. Chad's, for instance, from the Chili Peppers, the set that he used in 92 was a set that he had custom painted. He wasn't an endorser at that time. He was playing Pearl, and he had a beautiful drum set custom painted with an undersea scene on it. On every drum was different. Maybe I'll include a picture in this video. And there was also Herb Alexander from Primus, pork pie, big, beautiful outfit with some, strategically suspended drums. So to get those bands on and off the stage was a huge problem. That year in 93, I was also working for the Merritt Mountain Music Festival, and the crew, we were commonly referred to mostly by ourselves as the Ninja Stage Crew. We had constructed a turntable for the drum sets, much like a very, very large record turntable that was split down the middle with a backdrop. And there was a large set on the front facing the audience, and while the band was playing, I would be on the back of the backdrop setting up the set for the next band that was playing. So between bands, all we had to do was rotate the chain on that huge giant drummer's turntable, and we were in action again. And the other difference is, of course, with using my equipment from using the Lollapalooza individual act equipment, is it's an audio nightmare. Because once you get the sound perfect for, the Chili Peppers, then you're dealing with Pearl Jam, and it's totally different. So anyway, there's a lot of chaos and pandemonium at Lollapalooza, but the way they compensated for it was they brought very well-trained crew that were used to it, and so everything sort of went generally well, but there were some issues. In 92, for example, I was in the way. I typically have a fairly large drum center backstage where I outfit everybody with whatever they forgot or got lost on the plane. And it wasn't going to work at Lollapalooza when you're standing in between Pearl Jam and the fans. So for 93, I moved my drum, maybe I'll include a picture of that. I moved my drum center underneath the stage, which was an interesting place to be because that's where the ambulance crew were hauling heat-exhausted crowd surfers away from the security. Anyway, that's all besides the point. I was one of the very few technicians allowed to wear a camera. And so I don't know why they let me do that, but they did. And so I have a lot of pictures taken from the crew's perspective, not from the professional photographer who was out front, but from being on the stage, under the stage, wherever, So the pictures aren't that great because you can imagine I was kind of busy. The other thing I was allowed to do was collect autographs. And that was kind of a very wonderful privilege. And it didn't take long for me to figure out that I couldn't shoot photographs and dress Chad Smith's drum set and collect autographs all at the same time. And sometimes things went horribly wrong. For example, Here's a head that was beautifully signed by Peter Michael Escovedo, Sheila E.'s brother, when I was working a little bit with the Lionel Richie and Tina Turner tour back in the 80s. And I got him to sign it in red. Bad idea. Here's another one. This is Kim Mitchell's drummer, Paul DeLong, great Canadian band. Kim Mitchell, you know, let's go for a soda, right? Same problem. I got him to sign it in red. Well, you know, you figure it out pretty fast once the signatures fade. Now, eventually, I got a little wiser and started to take an assistant. And it wasn't hard to get an assistant to go with you to places like Lollapalooza. None of us were getting paid a whole lot. So we all had our hidden agendas. And anyway, make a long story short, in 1993, that was the Vancouver Thunderbird Stadium was the first show of the Lollapalooza tour that year. And, you know, I had a lot of great opportunities to work with some great bands, which I'll get to in a minute. But the drum heads over the years got bigger and bigger and bigger. So stay tuned. The bands, for those who aren't familiar with the Lollapalooza tour, in 1993 included Primus, Alice in Chains, Dinosaur Jr., Fishbone, Arrested Development, Front 242, Tool, Rage Against the Machine, and here's why the set changes didn't have to be super fast. Lollapalooza had sideshows, and they had Ethel Meatplow on the side stage, Free Kitten, Sebadoh, and Tsunami. That was Friday, June 18th, Thunderbird Stadium, Vancouver. Some of the other shows may have changed formats. So, now we have, I can get this all on camera. That's what I said. The heads just kept getting bigger and bigger. This is actually a 29-inch Timpani Head. And this is where the problem lies. So let's first talk about Fishbone. Lollapalooza, I'll put this down. Lollapalooza in 93 had some issues. Maybe I can read one of them here. Fishbone. Fishbone joined the 1993 Lollapalooza tour. When that happened, guitarist Kendall Jones was accused of mental instability and quit the band, moving to Northern California. Bassist John Norwood Fisher tracked Jones down in the belief that he needed rescue from a religious group, only to be charged with attempted kidnapping. Fisher was acquitted at trial. So this is all happening. When this is happening, so I'm thinking maybe the missing autographs from the drumhead tell just as much as the autographs that are on the drumhead. Now, we did have the sense, if you see, if I don't know which side that's on, okay, over here, we did have the sense to write Fishbone under this autograph. And for the life of me, I cannot find any other versions of the autograph. And it's starting to look like the guitarist, Kendall Jones, and John Norwood Fisher, the bass player, may have been gone. I also noticed there seems to be a connection between some of the musicians that played for Arrested Development. So I don't know who subbed for Kendall Jones and Norwood. And I don't know whose signature this is. It would be a great favor if somebody could write in the comment section below, if you're a Fishbone fan going back to 93 or farther, to let me know whose signature this is, please. That would be awesome. And there's another one on here, if I can get that in view of the camera. Take a second here to work backwards. Okay, so in this quadrant of this monstrous drum head, over here, you can see that there's some beautiful artwork there, and I believe that says Fishbone. And below it, there's this signature and this signature. Now, these could be the same signature, I don't know, but it looks like there's a break. Maybe not. My daughter thinks this is one signature, but we know it's a Fishbone member with Norwood and Kendall Jones missing. So someone must have substituted on guitar and bass. Now, that brings us to Arrested Development. Up here, we have Foley. Now, we already know that Foley was Miles Davis' last bass guitar player in the Miles Davis Band. And we know that Foley played bass on the Lollapalooza tours. And you can see here that in '93, it's confirmed that Foley was the bass player for Arrested Development in '93. Now, what I don't know is what this is. Whether or not this is part of Foley's signature, or whether this was an Arrested Development musician, or probably not a Fishbone musician. And I'm also kind of wondering now if Foley played bass in both bands. Not sure. I don't have any video of the first tour date, June 18th, 1993. Some of you may have video. I'm going to rotate the head a little bit here, and you can see Lara got these great autographs. Now, for the life of me, I don't know who Kat is. She's got a great signature, but I can't find anyone listed in the band roster of Arrested Development named Kat. I do know that they were. It was common for them to get for speech to get other people to go on stage and play instruments that weren't really part of the band. And there was a sideshow called Free Kitten at '93 Lollapalooza. So I don't know if this could have been someone borrowed from Free Kitten, or if this could have been someone that is a member of or was a member of Arrested Development. So that is another mystery. I'm going to rotate this head a little bit. I'll move it back so that you can see the whole head in a minute. So here we have a confirmed member of Arrested Development. The signature is unique. That's Eshy. The speech said in an speech, by the way, for those of you who aren't fans or don't know Arrested Development, Speech is still to this day the lead singer in the band. Amazing guy. Go to Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube, and Google Arrested Development Speech, and you'll see some amazing interviews. Very, very cool guy who tells a lot of this history. And that's the only reason, thanks to Speech, that I know Eshy was 16 years old at the time she was on stage at Lollapalooza in 1993. And her signature is certainly confirmed. She often signed Love Ya, Peace and Love, and often did the beautiful little sun face here. So that's it. I'm just hoping, and I'll bring those signatures back in focus again in a second. I'm just hoping that somebody out there can help me identify these, because we want to sell this. This is going to be up for sale in the InTimeWithMusic store, and there's going to be some things included with it. Center that for you. That was my stage pass, my all-access pass as the drum technician for that year. And you'll see it in the photographs that are included with the drum head. to add provenance, so you don't have to worry about authenticity, that's for sure. This photograph comes with the head. This is a photograph of myself with my my drum tools underneath the stage Lollapalooza that year. Every photograph will have a certificate of authenticity on the back. There will also be a larger certificate of authenticity that'll have photos included in it, and the photos are pretty amazing. Once again, I took these photos on stage during the shows, obviously, or the crowd wouldn't be doing that. And I particularly love this one. This is my favorite. And they had fire hoses at the front of the stage. Security would hose down, because it was a hot day. Security would hose down anyone near the front security barrier. And if somebody like this ended up right at the front line, the only place for him to go was hit the ground, so the security would pull him off the heads of the mosh pit and drag him underneath the stage. The ambulance crew would check him out to see if he was okay. You know, some people were a little bit high, but some people were just suffering from heat exhaustion. The other weird thing about Lollapalooza that is not like the Merritt Mountain Music Festival or most of the music festivals that I attended was stage garbage. We had so much stage garbage at those shows. Running shoes, bras, half-eaten food, panties, t-shirts, pants, and the best part was notes to the band. If you worked Lollapalooza and you were on the stage during the whole shows, you probably could relate to this, but I want to say girls, you know, but it's not politically correct. So let's say female fans would throw notes, and they knew that if they threw the notes when the band was playing, that they wouldn't see them or they would just ignore them. So they would wait until the band left the stage, until the crew went out to dress the stage for the next act. Then they would throw the notes at us. Because they knew that we had a pretty good chance of giving the note to the intended recipient. Of course, we never did, but we had a great time reading all those notes, the crew, and we didn't keep any of the phone numbers, ladies. But thanks for throwing them. Anyway, that's it. So I'm going to give you a close-up and sign off. So, we need to know who Cat is. We need to know, this is tricky. Under the fishbone, which is pretty obvious, if this is one signature or two signatures, and who it is. We know it's Fishbone, because that was written in '93 when the head was done. When I asked Lara at the end, it was hard to figure out. We know that that's Eshy. We do not know. Whoops. Yeah, come back. Speaking of Lollapalooza, I'm going to get that one back. Okay. Remember, this thing is huge, and I'm working in reverse gear. There we go. There, that's a stumper. Who is that? Oh, I'm going to give you some names here. And find them. Fishbone. Angelo Moore. No. We've seen his signature everywhere. Walter A. Kirby II, trumpet and vocals. Now that could have been the other guy that had the segregated signatures, because there was lots of words there. Walter A. Kirby II. Well, Kendall Jones. No, I think we can pretty well write that signature off. Chris Dowd. He quit the band a year later. He was the keyboard player, but he was there.
John Bigham, also guitar and keyboards. So one of those could be him. It looked like there was some J's in the other signature. And then John Norwood Fisher, likely he was gone trying to rescue Kendall Jones from the cult. And that's not really funny. I shouldn't be smiling. That must have been a really horrific situation. I know what it's like to have stuff like that happen, especially just ahead of a big tour. I worked with Jonathan Moffat on the Michael Jackson Victory Tour, and that's when the night the act opened for Victory Tour, Jonathan got a phone call. His dad was in the hospital in Los Angeles. Jonathan flew to Los Angeles that day, that afternoon before the show, to see his dad in the hospital, and then he flew back to Vancouver for the Victory Tour show. It was incredible. So I know what it's like, Mr. Fisher and Mr. Jones. I know what trauma at the head of a tour can be like. I've seen it before. So anyway, I'm glad it all seems to have worked out, one way or the other, but the other signature that could be on here is Philip. Don't let me forget the drummer, Philip Fish Fisher, drums. So who is this? Gotta get my hair out of the way here. Who are these signatures? This guy. Yeah. Get better at it. Those guys, or guy, or girl, we don't know. We have no idea. But we want to find out. Cat, love ya. Lara is spelled wrong. It's L-A-R-A-U, guys. Well, that was probably Foley that wrote that from the looks of it. And Foley, we know you're still out there playing, and it's amazing to relive some of these stories and actually listen to some of the music. Thank you.
Well, like I said, this isn't my normal video. I'm not going to play any old stuff, you know. Next time. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.